I did a couple of the drills today, and you know what, I know with Coach Bruce, they're not going to get off the hook all that much, so I think there won't be a big relief from their part.
So who approached too with Tim? Did y'all go to him? He come to y'all?
It was one of those.
I went to him.
You came to me.
I came to Coach.
It's been, I mean, to me, the last, whatever it's been. It's been 72 hours or something like that, or what's after 72?
96.
96.
I mean, it's just to me been kind of a blur of a lot of things going on. I'm talking to a lot of people, you know, while we're preparing for the season, while we're reviewing training camp, while we're still in practice, while we're getting first day of school ready, while we're getting organized, to kind of go through this process has been very, very difficult. And you know, I think you know, I think we're extremely fortunate to be in the situation you're in and have a coach the quality of Tim Brewster, you know, wanting to come be a part of it, wanting to step in and help him in this very difficult situation that we're in, and you know, and for us to get the quality of coach we've gotten, I think we're very, very fortunate.
What's it like for you as a head coach to go? The last time we talked to you, you were like, it's a difficult situation with one man down, to having a former head coach on your staff.
Well, it's great, and I mean, not just a former head coach, a guy with tremendous NFL experience. You know, I mean, has coached at the highest level of football, and coached, I mean, all pro, Hall of Fame type players. I mean, just that background. And anytime, obviously, you get somebody that's been a head coach that understands what it's like to sit in the chair that you're in at times, you know, and as situations come up, it is always a great asset to your staff.
You haven't had that since Carl. It's kind of an interesting dynamic. And I mean, do you relish that, having that on your staff, or?
Yeah, okay. You know, I think, you know what, I do. I think it's not something that you're going out and you're saying, okay, we have to have as part of our staff, but I think it's a great asset to have as part of your staff.
So is this both the short-term and long-term solution here?
Yeah, that's, you know,
okay.
You know, when you go into it, obviously you're looking, you don't know all the options and what's going to happen for you, you know, but to get a coach of this quality for us, I mean, that's someone that, you know, we hope Tim's with us for a long time.
How are the guys today, I guess the receivers with their practice?
I think good. I think they're excited. You know, I think they know. I mean, they're smart players, and we have a bunch of seniors, and they look at that, you know, the resume that Tim brings in, and how that's going to continue to help in their development. And I think that, you know, the fact that you got seniors, you know, 5 seniors that have great kids, they understand this is not going to be an easy situation. And you know, I think we're lucky that we have the good kids that are older kids that are going to take, you know, instead of look on it, all they're going to look on and try is the positive and try to take advantage of every part and make this the best they can make it.
So when do you guys start getting into more game prep, where you start actually looking at Jackson State?
Well, we've looked at Jackson State. You know, as a staff, I think it's we're into game prep more as a staff in what we're doing and getting ready to go, but it hasn't turned into, you know, game week practice. You know, we're still trying to take care of ourselves, work on fundamentals. I know every year you're always doing things a little bit differently. You know, I know last couple of years, sometimes we'll, if we had a short week or that Thursday night game, we'll kind of game plan that team a little bit this week, because you know you're not going to have time later on. You know, we don't have that situation this year, so it's kind of been a lot more just focus on us and working on our fundamentals.
So on that line, I think I remember last year you saying maybe that you kind of worked on the first few games in the offseason in the summer, and then, you know, kind of reevaluate all the rest of them when you get there. But you looked at those first other couple teams.
Our staff does, you know, but we haven't. You know, a lot of times try to incorporate that stuff in a training camp. We haven't done that. You know, I mean, our focus this year is how can we perform at our highest level, not, you know, get into scheming and game plan and all that stuff. Let's worry about our fundamentals, our team developing our players to perform their best.
When I talked to, I guess, Dwayne last year, Charrington, y'all put him on scholarship thing, and he was about as grateful as anybody would be, and talked about how grateful he was for the opportunity out here. How was he this time when he found out the news?
Say, well, stay on. I mean, it's the same way, you know, and I think that's a great thing to reward him. You know, you look at it, there's a young guy that was very grateful for the opportunity he was given, took advantage of it, but didn't rest. Dwayne, I think, has improved greatly from this time last year. I mean, you know, I mean, as developed into a guy that's going to play a lot more than he did last year for us this year.
So today, news came that you guys are cooperating with the NCAA about potential recruiting.
Irregularity.
Yeah, that's been going on for a long, right, over the last several months.
Yeah, I was wondering, you talked to the NCAA, have you been cooperating yourself, talking
I
to them
don't
about?
comment on any. I'm not able to comment on any of that stuff.
Could you tell us, is Will Redmond practicing?
We don't talk about injuries, you know that. I'll give you
Well, I'm
this
not
one.
asking about injuries, I'm asking if he's practicing.
Is he
Oh, wow.
practicing?
Oh, yeah.
We don't think-
He's practicing.
So he's practicing? I'm just, is he?
Is it an injury? Yeah, everybody's practicing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have
Oh,
you-
it's not an no.
It's not
Why
an-
wouldn't he be practicing?
Because that was the player that Joe Shad
Is part of
identified as
the
being part of
recruiting
this
irregularities.
Yeah.
It's being investigated.
So is he out on the practice field?
Yeah, he's practicing. I'd try to get a little more reliable source.
Well, what, you know, obviously, because of the timing
I
of all
think,
this.
wasn't I guess I'm supposed to be coaching at State College, I guess, right now, too, according to Joe Shad last year. Wasn't that the case? Not against him.
Well, obviously, because of the timing of all of this stuff, there's a lot of people wondering if Angelo Mirando's dismissal had anything to do with this. Did it?
I've talked about all that stuff. We don't get into Angelo's deal. I said, at a time, we will get into that whole situation with him as well.
Okay.
You had a chance to talk to Angelo since he left?
Mm-hmm.
How's he doing?
Be fine. Great kid.
You talked last time about the young kids and the mental approach. How are they being since then as far as scout team work and all that?
Hmm? The young kids it's a big time learning deal for me. You know, I mean, I think today you got into it a little bit more of seeing them getting accustomed to it. We have a couple things we got to do. You know, I mean, on Saturday we're going to just go with helmets, and you know, because Thursday practice, and this is a major deal. That, you know, I made this mistake before. Is on a Thursday practice, you're just helmets. And if the first time you practice with scouts is next Thursday in helmets, I'm going to be miserable. You know, because that is such a critical practice that you have to take advantage of that opportunity and be ready to know how to practice that way. And so, you know, we're going to do that in the next couple of days and give them the opportunity to, you know, go out Saturday, have a big scout period practice, and learn how to do it that way. I've kind of liked how they've learned this week to do it, and they're getting it figured out. And, you know, now it's going to be just understanding how to, when you get into the game plan aspect of it, you know, when you're kind of running, we've been kind of more running against our defense, you know, letting them call our defense and calling a little bit more of our offense. Then, you know, if we get into somebody that's very different from us, that'll be the next learning step.
I would imagine there's still some details left with Tim that you feel like you got to get sorted out. Just by him being here this afternoon and being out on the practice field, is that accurate, or do you feel like everything's pretty much tied up?
No, I feel good. I mean, obviously, there's
That he's here, but I'm just talking about his responsibilities, what you expect, getting him adjusted,
I mean,
and all those
we're
things.
gonna have a big. I mean, we're gonna be working. We're gonna be grinding. You know, just to get caught up in.
What his recruiting territory is, all those things.
Yeah, we'll get that. I mean, in the immediate, it's understanding what's going on within the system, and not obviously. To me, the biggest adjustments, obviously, language. You know, I know that's a telephone, but I couldn't say telephone in Chinese right now.
Right.
You know, so when you look at that, I mean, we know what a stick route is, but you got to learn the language and how we're talking right now. You know, and that sort of stuff. And you know what I know, 6-man slide protection, and how are we wording, and how are we wording our formations and our personnel groupings, all of those things. I think that is the biggest adjustment. You know, and how we accelerate to get Tim caught up, ready to go.
Did you address the situation with the NCAA with the team? Are you worried about it being a distraction so close to the season?
No. I mean, I like our leadership. I don't see it being a distraction at all for our guys right now.
Any last questions?
Practice plans tomorrow, and then what do you do over the weekend with the guys before getting into that game?
You know, we'll go, tomorrow will be a very similar practice. We're actually checking class schedule. Most of our guys are done before 1 o'clock, so we'll go a little earlier tomorrow. Have our champions banquet afterwards tomorrow night, and then Saturday we really, like I said, we're gonna be Hellman's, do a lot of things they need to prepare for game week. We'll do a mock game, which
In the stadium? Or
no, we'll do it here.
Okay.
I mean, like last year, it took us 6 times to figure out how to run out of the tunnel and stuff. I mean, because there's a lot of guys that, you know, all right, this is when we run out of the tunnel. This is when we do the dog pound rock, and you know, there's some freshmen that are like. So Saturday becomes such a, you know, we do that on Saturday, so you know, we don't look like the Bad News Bears the following Saturday on the field. You know, like what are these guys, like a rock and roll band coming out there, and look like an organized unit.
Who teaches the dog pound rock?
You know, what I would do is have the guys that are going to lead it, which I got to figure out who that is too this year. Like last year was Fletcher.
Charles Mitchell, wasn't it? Mitch?
No, because he was a captain last year. Because the captains are all
that's
busy
right.
doing the coin toss.
When did Marvin Bird went
I think it was maybe Wade,
on? Wait.
Fletcher, and Ferg, maybe.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. I think so. I got to figure out who's going to do that this year.